0, and now we'll know exactly how long it takes before we're actually live.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hello, Stephen.
Yeah. Hello, David. Another week. We're still sweltering in 31-degree heat. How are you doing?
Yeah, about there. Let's see. What does my phone say? 29 degrees Celsius.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not in.
We do get summer here, but only for 2 or 3 months of the year.
Nice one.
So it's been a busy weekend again for me. But that's okay. I think we're ready to take.
Good. Well, basically last time we spoke, you were talking about rib fests, yeah. But last weekend wasn't a rib fest; it was a veg fest.
Yeah,
it was a vegan festival.
So there's a story there. So there was a rib fest that was originally put on by our local kinsmen.
Yeah.
And then one year they weren't doing it, so another group that puts on rib fests came into town. They're from London, and they put on a rib fest. And then the kinsmen came back the following year. Now there's 2 rib fests in Sarnia every summer. Yeah. So there was the one that you saw me at a few weeks ago, and then the other rib fest was this past weekend. And on the Sunday, I was at Veg Fest. So we had non-meat eaters at one end of town and meat eaters at the other end of town. And there's room enough for 2 rib fests, and there's room enough for 2 festivals. It's we're a festival town for sure.
Did you dine at both?
I didn't make it down to Rib Fest, and that was honestly was just a timing issue for me. But I was hired to be at Veg Fest.
Yeah.
And last year I did it, was their first year, and they had a great year. Great weather helps for sure. And I had a vegan Big Mac, and I am telling you, you put the real Big Mac and the vegan Big Mac in front of me, and you wouldn't have known the difference. And then yesterday, so this year we did the same thing, kind of a food tasting thing, and I had the equal to a chicken burger at McDonald's.
Good.
Fabulously delicious. Wow. So, of course, the thing behind being vegan is it's not just not eating meat because it's a healthy choice. It's about saving the lives of animals and the environment, and there's a lot behind it, right? So everything that was there was all vegan food, and the crafts and the vendors were all vegan. The clothing was all vegan. So it was interesting, and the organizers that put it on are very passionate about it, and it was a lot of fun there. There's lots of music and everything, so I was glad to be there.
Yeah. So it's a learning experience as well as a job, as it were.
Yeah, well, it was edumacational.
Right. That's the word of the day then. So hello to Cheryl and hello to Erin.
Yeah, hello, ladies.
And do we have a bot today?
Oh, you know what? I put it in there, type guest, and I didn't do it. Do I have time to do it now?
We can. If you put me on screen for a moment, I'll...
Yeah, you take her away, Stephen.
Well, actually, I've got an agenda. It's only a small agenda. I mean, but being from the UK, one of the things I would like to talk about at the moment is the World Cup. If you're into football, soccer, as you call it in the States, England are in the semi-finals of the World Cup in Moscow, and we play on Wednesday night against the Ukraine. And if we win, we'll be in the final, which takes place in Moscow on Sunday. Now, this is a team of young players, and when they went out to Moscow 3 weeks ago, they weren't given a chance of doing anything at all. But the manager has known them since they were in their youth and learning to be professional footballers, and he's seen them all the way through. He knows how well they can play together, and he's welded a team which, whilst it's got individual skills, is a team that works together, and we all know that teamwork is what counts. And so I'd just like to give a shout out to England, who are playing on Wednesday. That is 2 p.m. Eastern if you're watching in the States, 7 p.m. in the UK. And good luck. I did predict that they would win 2-0 last Saturday, and they did. So that was good. I'm going to predict that they'll win 1-0 this Wednesday, and hopefully that prediction will come true as well. As David's working away in the background, he's doing Build a Bot. Say hello to RJ and to Erin and to Cheryl. And that's the sort of soccer topic for this week, unless David's got something on football as well. I've just been, this afternoon, I had one of my thoughts, and hopefully between the 6th and 10th of August will be 5 days live. And I can see both RJ and Erin here. And they will be joining David and I and Annie Mura and Brigetti and Linda for 5 days live. More about that once we hear from Brigetti and get a confirmed lineup, but I'm just excited that this is going to take place 6th to 10th of August, 10 a.m. Eastern each day, 5 days on live learning with RJ Redden, Aaron Strayer, David Burrows, Stephen Healey, Linda West, Brigetti Limbanda, Annie Mura, and there we are.
Almost there.
Quite a lineup. Yeah, and RJ's saying she's excited too. I think it's brilliant, and it's a fantastic lineup of people who know what they're talking about and are passionate to what they're talking about. And I'm just lucky to know so many talented people, and that we can all get together during the course of the week. And thank you, Aaron. Thank you. And we can all get together during the course of the week and broadcast on the Live Video Hub, on Be Live in 5, on TVSN, on the US Hub, and everywhere else we're actually broadcasting today as well. I don't know. David seems to be concentrating.
I'm back.
Right. Okay. You're back. Okay.
Good news. Type guest in the comments below. You can join us. Quest. Yeah, it could be a quest, but type guest, which rhymes with quest. That's good.
Yeah.
That is quite a lineup, actually. When you asked me to be a part of that, I was like, oh wow, what a great idea. Did you just did that come to you in the middle of the night?
I think it did. I sort of remembered it about 1 o'clock, and I thought, it's an idea. You've got to do something with it. So I contacted, as everybody knows, I contacted David and RJ and Erin and Linda and Annie, and just waiting to hear back from Brigetti. But it all came together within the space of 2 hours. So it will happen now. And Wednesday is going to be a very busy day. Yes. So yeah, I'm good. I'm good with it. It's going to happen, and we're going to, between now and August 6th, do some promotions as well, because that's the key to this. I mean, I've seen similar enterprises. You do need to hit the ground running, and you need to have some of the people watching from the first show. So
yeah.
This is all good. This is a win-win for everybody, and it will promote not only the Live Video Hub, but also our individual shows as well, and our skills, and anything we want to talk about will come through in the shows. So everybody who's on the shows will be promoted heavily during the course of the next 3 weeks in the run-up.
Nice. Narula, I think I said your name right. Yeah. Oh, she was trying to type guest. She typed quest. Now she typed guest. Sorry. You have to type just guest all by itself, and then we'll be able to send you a link. Would love to have you on. I have to thank you, Stephen, for repurpose.io for getting me onto that, because I got playing around and I was like, oh, why did I not listen sooner? And of course, so this show will take, it'll be transferred into audio, and it's going to go to SoundCloud.
Brilliant.
And then it's all going to be turned into an MP3, and then I'll upload it to Spreaker and a few others, and then my YouTubes, and then totally worth $20 a month. And I did, his name slips me, the gentleman that created it.
Annie Mura.
Annie, yeah, that's right. I did have a brief conversation with him, and I made sure that I told him that it was your brilliant idea to send me there. So,
thank you.
Yeah, that's really just a super efficient platform to have when we're doing what we're doing, as much as we are, right?
Oh yeah.
It's just as long as I type in so I have it set up for this, the broadcasting to your community 2018. That's the hashtag. So when I put that in, it'll automatically go to that. And with the show live. So I've got it set up with that. Yeah, it's brilliant. That's all I can say.
Great.
Yeah. So if you're doing any of that sort of stuff like what we're doing here today, that's what you should do. Go to repurpose.io.
Yeah. It just simply works. It's very well crafted, and it's so simple and straightforward to use, but powerful too. And Annie will be on the shows on the 6th to 10th of October. It's all coming together. It's all coming together. Yeah. Now, I just want to say for a moment, and I'd really talk politics on our show, but it's 2 minutes, if you indulge me.
Absolutely.
In June 2017, we voted to leave the EU, which is the European Union, which is basically a trade organisation, plus, but who described as that. And we've been members there for 40 years. And we voted to go in, and in 2016 we voted to go out. Now, nobody can see the sense of going out apart from a group of people. 52% of the country said, yes, we want to leave. So majority rules, and we will be leaving in March 2019. But our Prime Minister had a cabinet meeting last Friday, and it ran from 10 in the morning till 10 at night. And there was no fly on the wall, no reporting from it. And the cabinet ministers couldn't leave till 10 o'clock at night, so weren't able to say anything. But today, we've got a phrase in the UK, shit hit the fan. And two of the cabinet ministers have resigned.
Oh, wow.
And the Prime Minister is trying to paint over the cracks. But have you heard of Boris Johnson?
The name.
Yeah, the name, yeah. Okay. Boris Johnson you will have heard of, because he's he's good on television. He's good for one-liners, so he always makes the news. He and David Davis have resigned as cabinet ministers, so our government is in disarray at the moment.
Wow.
And we've no idea what's going on. So let's hope they get that sorted out quickly.
History is being written by the sounds of it.
Today, history, definitely, since Friday, things have gone totally wrong for our government.
What caused this?
Right, okay. We trade with 27 other countries in Europe. Yeah. And when goods go from England to France or England to Germany and vice versa, there is no duty. Yeah. So it's a free trade zone, and it's a 28-country free trade zone. And we're leaving that trade zone. And that means that the other countries have got rights to charge tariffs. So for argument's sake, Japanese car makers have got plants in the UK which were part of Europe, but they won't be part of Europe anymore.
Okay.
So when they ship parts from the UK to, say, Germany, there'll be a tariff put on, a duty, 4 or 5%. Not okay. When the Germans send it back, there'll be a tariff put on, 4 or 5%. All of which makes us uncompetitive, makes it very difficult. And of course, there's a fine ointment as well. Ireland as a country is split in two. Okay. And Northern Ireland is part of the UK, Southern Ireland is part of the EU, two separate countries. Yep. And there isn't a fixed border between them. There's no wall. Okay? If you go on a 10-mile journey on a road in Ireland, you can go north-south, north-south, north-south about 20 times in the space of 10 miles. So there is no border control.
Right.
And the EU said, well, if Northern Ireland is leaving and Southern Ireland is staying in the EU, there's got to be a border control. Nobody thought this through. Nobody thought that we'd actually vote to leave the EU, so nobody has a plan. And it is a right mess. And the two cabinet ministers who resigned today resigned because they don't agree with what is being called a soft Brexit, where we stay and there is still no duty.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like being a member of a club, but having no say in the club rules.
Right. So they're really standing their grounds here and saying, not putting up with this. It's interesting. I guess the direction or the layout works a little different over here, but of course we're kind of going through the same thing with the United States right now. With Trump he put on a whole bunch of tariffs on metals, and it was it's a big mess, or they're calling it a big mess, whatever. And then, of course, Canada retaliates, does the same thing. So it's all, it's NAFTA and the North American Free Trade Agreement and all this. So history is there's a lot of big changes happening in the world right now.
Well, true. And a lot of them are actually coming out of America, because we talked about the Europeans being in a mess. But, I mean, there's a trade war. There's a trade war between the US and Canada. There's a trade war between the US and the EU. There's a trade war between the US and China. And the common thread through all that is the US imposing tariffs. Mm-hmm. And basically, you from an economics point of view, you impose a tariff to protect your own workers. So, for argument's sake, if you're importing steel and you have the capacity to make steel cheaper in your own country, then you put a duty of, say, 10% on the steel coming in, so it's more expensive than homemade steel. And the idea then is that people will buy homemade steel as opposed to foreign-made steel, and everybody wins. Apart from the foreign, and they don't really matter. But that doesn't work. There is a big solar panel industry globally, yeah. But the leaders of the solar panel industry are in Europe and in China, and they've now got tariffs on their goods, which means that they are more expensive to import into the States. The unfortunate thing is that tens of thousands of installers in the States are actually installing these panels for people. And where do you think their panels are coming from? Well, it's basically they're importing their panels. The price of their panels has just gone up. So the price to American households of actually having solar panels installed has gone up. And the number of people ordering solar panels has gone down. And the number of people working to install solar panels has gone down. Nobody wins in a trade war. Nobody wins. And it's
modern day warfare.
It is totally.
It really
I totally
is.
agree with that.
Like, it's a new way of it's like the technical war. We don't. I guess thankfully, in a way, we don't do those things. I don't know. That's another show, I guess. It's interesting, to say the least. It's affecting a lot of people. That's the bottom line of that.
It is, and I mean the price of bourbon's gone up, and that can't be good, can it?
That is unacceptable.
Exactly, it's striking. I mean, if you're going to hit anything, don't hit Jack Daniels. But I mean, that's as far as Europe's concerned, is now more expensive. Now, another strange thing that happened this week was GCHQ in the UK is in charge of all our security. They have the listening stations. They're the ones watching our Facebook pages and everything.
Okay.
And apparently, a number of people who work at GCHQ and like similar government departments are actually Keep Fit enthusiasts. Okay. And they use Strava.
They use what? Sorry?
Strava. Strava.
Okay.
If you're a cyclist, then it's what you use to actually track your cycling, so you can measure how far you've gone, where you've gone, what speeds you were doing, and it's a fantastic app. But in order for Strava to work, it needs to know where you are. Okay?
Okay.
And Strava was publishing the whereabouts of security staff publicly. Just a little glitch.
Mm-hmm.
So if you knew that somebody worked at GCHQ, and you also know where they are. So if you want to, I'm just saying, it's a security leak. It's a security leak,
Yeah.
and that surfaced this week in terms of.
Are we really surprised at any of this
No,
anymore? You know,
no.
like, I mean, and I'm not saying that anything was done intentionally, but it's technology.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Stuff's going to happen. We're learning. Even the programmers are learning. I mean, have you ever programmed a perfect program? You know, like there's always. That's why we have bug fix releases all the time.
Truly, we do. Maintenance releases, additional features, or making features work is always a full-time job.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Franco's out there. Hello, Franco. Stephen saying hello to both of us there. And RJ Redden, all of you out there joining us here today. Welcome to Broadcasting to Your Community, where you never know what we're broadcasting to your community about. I think when we started the show, we originally thought we were going to talk about live streaming, but it's not always about that. And I kind of like that it's changed from that.
Yeah. It's sort of evolved, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know, like episode 1 to now. And I don't even know, you know what? I don't even know how many episodes this is because I didn't keep track of the numbers. Now I just put a date on it. And
yeah, I'm just waiting for Facebook to tell us that we've been broadcasting for a year.
Yeah.
Which is we're headed towards that.
I think it's been over a year, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, I'm sure it has.
I'm sure. Or has it?
Count back because you asked me for the first show date, didn't you?
Yeah. See, I found it back as far as October last year, but it seems longer. Seems like forever. That's like, how long have you been married? Well, yeah, about 10 years.
Give or take.
If you want to join us out there, the bot is watching. It's fixed. It's working now. Please type guest. RJ, Aaron, Franco, Nurola. I hope I said that name right. Love to have you join us on here. And if you have any questions about live streaming for either Stephen or I, or if you just want to come on and share your thoughts about positive stuff, then happy to.
Indeed. If you're watching or you're not watching on TVSN, Video Show Network, then you'll see a link up above where you can come straight to TVSN and you can then comment. There you'll see your comments and we'll feature them on screen. Because we are today live on TVSN, which is where this show begins, and on Be Live in 5, and on the Live Video Hub, and virtually everywhere, aren't we?
Yeah, we get around.
Oh, we do. We're international. We are definitely international.
I DJ'd a 50th birthday party Saturday night.
Yeah.
It was kind of a trip down memory lane because the couple that, the wife that called me for the husband's birthday, I DJ'd their wedding 15 years ago. And I think she kind of, because I don't DJ a lot anymore, I'm kind of in the point where I can pick and choose the ones that I want or not want. Mm-hmm. And she swayed me by saying, you DJ'd our wedding 15 years ago and you did an amazing job. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm there. My price. But it was interesting because we talk about technology. So, I mean, I'm 49 now. I started DJing when I was like 18 years old, so a few years ago.
Yeah.
I started with cassette tapes.
Remember those?
Records, and then got into CDs for the longest time. And then I was one of the first ones around here to go to computer, and I used a desktop computer.
Okay, a luggable.
Right. Yeah. That's right. And so yesterday I showed up and I still have my speakers from 20 years ago. They're big Yamaha 15 inchers, but I also have these other ones now that are about this big. And I can carry them like this and walk in, and I brought my iPad and plugged in, and I connect to the internet, and away we go. And I have an app, a DJ app, but like it was just totally, they were like, wow, what a difference from 15 years ago, which doesn't seem that long ago, right? So,
yeah. Have you heard of a program called OTS, DJ?
OTS.
Comes out to Australia.
Don't think so.
Okay. In that case, my question is, which software do you use?
So on my iPad, it's called DJ2.
Right. Okay.
DJAY2. And it almost, I almost don't want technology to go much further because it looks so easy to do now. Right. Okay. Whereas years ago, you brought in all this stuff, you lugged it all in. People were like, wow, that guy's working hard at being a DJ. Right now, I come in and plug in an iPad, which everybody owns.
Yes. And
I connect to a server system that connects into the app itself. So I have every song in the world available to me.
Oh, but wow.
Yeah. So you still got to know, you still need that person, I think. But I could do the exact same thing on my phone here. The exact same app works on here. And but it would just look like I'm not working that hard. So what are we paying this guy for? Right. So
well, it's like anything though. It's basically you're actually being rewarded for your experience.
Well,
which nothing can buy.
That I should put my price up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's sorted.
Franco's in the lobby here. He's nodding yes. So we'll bring him in here. I think he's ready. And it's Franco now. What happened?
Hey, long story, but okay. New profile.
Oh, okay, all right.
But yeah, cassette tapes, awesome. That was I could see you juggling that right now. But it's very common, I think, for almost any industry that's into media. As soon as it makes it easier, the client's starting to say, "Well, what am I paying you for?" I mean, I got a phone or I got an iPad or whatever. Paying for
anybody can go live.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's true. But I'm doing a boxing match on July 22nd, and it's a pay-per-view. So yeah, somebody else could do it, but they probably don't have their own private server that's going. It's not going live to Facebook. It's pay-per-view. Okay. Yep. It's working off an iPad system, but go ahead and figure it out. Like, I welcome that.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
But, seriously, I did. I'm doing it for 10 years, though.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have done a paper. I don't know. It just, I guess it kind of brings us into a good discussion here of appreciation for knowledge and experience, as you said, Stephen. Bots. I guess bots would be an example here. RJ, if she's still listening, maybe she'll join the conversation if she can. Yeah, it doesn't cost me anything to. Well, I shouldn't say it doesn't cost me anything. Time. What am I trying to say? Software would be a good example. You create a program, Stephen. You create it once. Once it's done, it's just like photocopying money, right? You send it out. Send it out. Yep. At least that's what it looks like,
right?
To the outside looking in. What we don't see is all the hours that before you even start typing a program. The design of it, the layout of it, the idea of it, what it looks like, the colors, all this stuff, right? Oh, well, once you got it now, you should be able to sell that for $5 if you want because it's just free money. Well,
no, it's not.
You had to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are two reasons for developing. One is to develop because you want to create a program which will help people and you can do it for free. And the second is to develop commercially. Now, I do both. And in terms of a commercial program, you've got to do your research first. I know Jason says you've got to sort of get the story out of people. It's the same with software. If I say to you, how do you run your business, and you're a manufacturer, then you would say, well, we buy raw materials in, we process them, we send the finished goods out. And that's the 3-line story. But it's what lies behind that. And you've got to dig in and find out exactly what happens. How do the raw materials arrive? How are they ordered? Is it a repeat order? A whole host of questions come to mind that you've got to ask in order to refine and actually create the specification for actually doing the program. You can't put a finger on the keyboard until you know all the answers. If you've got one guess in there, the system just won't work. Or even worse, it won't do what the client wants to do. And the other thing about writing software is that if you write a piece of software to solve a particular problem, because that's what we're doing, was giving solutions to problems. If you solve that problem for a customer, then they'll be very grateful. But they come back with a question. And this is every single customer on the planet comes back with a question. When supplied with software that answers a problem, the question is, oh, that's great. That's fantastic. But what if, and it's the what if question that is both a downer because you've done your darndest to actually create the perfect piece of software, but it's also a lead into selling more software.
Yeah. What if we could play videos during our broadcast? Like one of those what ifs?
That's a what if. I'm still working on that.
What about the feature that you didn't think to put in there? Yeah. You did, but you're just not ready to do it yet. Yeah. I do some social media management too, right? Not a lot of it because I obviously only have so much time in a week, but that sometimes is a struggle to, like if you don't understand the difference between a reach and a view and a page view and a like and all this stuff, like for me so I can sit down and show it to you. But but the people I deal with they're like, I don't want to deal with this. That's why I'm paying you.
Yeah.
Which is a good client.
Yeah, but then they sometimes want you go back and show them, well, what have you done? Well, I have no problem with that. The difficult part in that is getting them to, if you don't understand how it works, you might go, well, that doesn't seem like very much for what I'm paying you. But I have to get you there. If I'm starting you a page with 5 likes and I'm up to 150 in a month, that's pretty good based on percentage growth, right? So, Franklin, you had a thought?
Yeah, if sometimes I run across a client that's like, okay, well, what is your hourly rate? I don't do an hourly rate. I do it by project. Well, how much time will you be spending on it? Well, quite frankly, it depends, but most likely it's going to take X, Y, Z. Well, that's not very much time. And then I realized, you know what? How about I just pay you hourly and I take my time until I reach the bill, the amount that I just said? Or would you like for me just to go ahead and do it quickly and get it over with?
Yeah.
Either or. Yeah. I mean, that's basically what a person's paying you for. They're paying you for your talent, your ability, and your experience.
And giving them results, right? Exactly.
So those are, to me, those are the nickel and dime clients that, which I totally understand. Everyone's, has to cross their T's and dot their I's and, keep up with money and budget. But sometimes I have to, for me and what I do, I have to ask myself, is this really the right client to be working with? Can they really afford me? Or would it be better that they go down that long road of learning themselves to see the value of what I can bring or what another professional in my industry can bring?
Right. Well, I find too sometimes, well, I have a client right now, and it's okay if she is watching. She probably isn't watching because she doesn't know how to get on Facebook, but maybe her daughter does. But anyway, one of the things that came across is, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing this right now, having you do this right now because I'm not that busy. Right. And I'm like, so you don't have a lot going on right now. I get that. That to me is probably a reason why you should be doing this. Like I find, I'll give an example. There's an art festival that happens here in Surrey. It's called Artscape. And every year they have me, you'll see me doing some live stream stuff, whatever. Well, one of the things I said to them about their page was, I said, Artscape comes on in August. So at the beginning of August, I start seeing some action on your page leading up to the event. And then the event is over. And then I don't see anything on there for a whole year.
Yeah.
And to me, that's like, you might like, if I go to that, that's like going to a website that hasn't been updated.
Right.
If I see something that hasn't been updated, I go, this looks like a mess.
Or the flip side of that is the client that says, well, we're doing really good. Sales are good. We really don't need to do it. For me, we really don't need to take that extra step of promoting, marketing, creating content.
Do you know what I say to that client?
What's that?
Have you ever heard of McDonald's? Have you ever heard of McDonald's? Well, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Everybody's heard of McDonald's. The whole world's heard of McDonald's. So why do they keep advertising?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they don't want us to forget about them and go over to Wendy's.
Right. Front of mind.
And I'm not saying, like, I get budgets and everything, sometimes it's, well, it's really if they say, well, whatever reason they give you, it's really a money thing. Typically, I think, it's or they don't see the value in it. If they don't see the value in it, I just go, I'm sorry, you don't see the value in it. Here's my number. You know how to reach me when you're ready to go further. I don't fight them on it, right? Because if you do, it'll just be a constant battle.
If you person you're working with loses interest, then you're bound to lose interest yourself, because you can't push people, can you? They've got to do it willingly. They've got to do it because they want to. They've got to do it because there's something in it for them. But what they don't see, the example you gave of having build a house on land and then leaving the house for 11 months, then coming back to it and hoping that it's still in the condition you left it when you've had a summer, winter, and God knows what else battering the foundations. I don't understand that. I mean, to actually keep something just ticking over so that you maintain an interest, or people maintain an interest, doesn't take too much, and it is worth doing, because when you do come again in July the following year, at least you've got some people who still know about the page. I mean, the number of groups, and I'll put my hand up here, I've got groups who've got tumbleweed running through them, because you can only do so many things at one time.
Yeah.
But if you don't tend to the groups or tend to the pages, then they will by default just become ghost towns.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's you said it in there, there's work involved. There is work involved in maintaining a page or a group or pages or groups. I mean, okay, I'm trying to think. Okay, so I have a bunch of pages, some that were an idea and I started them and then I went, I'm not going that direction. So they're still sitting there. I got the name or whatever, right? I have 3 pages, 4 if I count the one my son has that I sort of help him with. But I really have 2 main pages and I have a group. So 3 that are dominant. And that's all I need right now, because that's what I can handle without overwhelming myself from the other projects I have, which is the videography, live streaming events, being somewhere, And by the way, I'm married as well and should probably pay attention to that, right? So there's only so much time to do stuff, and it's. I see people saying, "Oh, well, I could do that. It's just a post." Well, but what time do you post that? And is the content relevant to what you're doing? And, I see people still doing the, I got a shoe sale on today. So they post that every day. It's like, maybe post something about the shoes that you're selling and about how they're made, and don't put any price on it. Just say, if you'd like to know more, stop into our store. People, I don't think, want to see the advertisement so much as, 40% off today, like a television or something. They want it's an opportunity to build a relationship with your potential customer or client. And instead of in your face, right? Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, it's to tell a story.
Yeah.
Continue to. I mean, there was a photograph published yesterday. It gives me my in about a photograph telling a story. In that, yesterday in the UK was Race for Life. Now, Race for Life is organised by Cancer Research, which is a cancer research charity, a national one. And every summer they organise races in major towns throughout the UK, which are totally for women, and they meet on the day and they run either a 5K or a 10K. Now, the thing is that living in an area, you've got a choice of the ones that you can go to. So we've been to Salisbury, we've been to various places. But yesterday, the Race for Life took place in Oxford. Now, Oxford is a great place to visit, and because I wasn't racing, Angelica and Katie were racing on the day, doing a 10-kilometre run, and in 30-degree heat, they did superbly well, and they finished in about an hour 43, which is darn good going. But of course, you've got to find something to do for an hour and a half, and I can't think of a better place to be than Oxford. But to come back to the picture, Katie took a picture before the race started and after the race finished, a selfie of the two of them. And that one picture tells the story of the race, really. Because you start off looking fresh as a daisy, and after running 6 miles, you're not so fresh. And that was my photograph of the day, really. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry, Jason. Okay.
Just kind of getting to the clients and the effort and the work. I heard a really good quote. I cannot remember who I was listening to. It was on Facebook. I think it was John something, and he put in so many words. Everyone wants to have success in their business. Everyone wants to be able to grow and prosper and do well, and flourish, right? But what have you done to earn that reward? Like he used example as a farmer goes up to an open field to want a crop to grow and to be able to harvest it. But if he doesn't put in the seed and he doesn't put in the work, well, then what has he done to earn that? He may want it all he wants, but there's a big difference in putting in the work and making those efforts along the way, versus just saying, I would rather it just happen and take the easy route.
Well, if a farmer let his crops go, then all he would reap at the end of the growing season would be weeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good story. And I can see the point there that you do have to keep tending the garden or the allotment or the farm for it to actually flourish. It's the same with social media.
Yeah, well, a good point in there too, what you just said, Stephen, is maintaining. You can grow something and then it starts to do well. A business is a good example, right? You can grow it, you build it, you plant the seed, you harvest all that stuff. But then it's like, wow, okay, we're doing really good here. And I think some of the mistake that some people make, and this can relate to social media too, is we get going, right? And it's going really good, and then it's nice and comfy in this chair here.
We settle.
And then we just lean back and go, yeah, life's really good. And that'll happen. That'll stay for a while. And all of a sudden we wake up and we go, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
It's work. It's got to be handled. And it's not just, anybody can make a post on Facebook. Absolutely.
Okay.
Did you see what Arjun said? That's very good.
If you don't want to pay for a professional, try hiring an amateur. Yeah.
True. Very true.
You'll save money in the long run, I promise.
Yeah. Well, I think it's one of those things like, anybody can make a post on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, but it's not hard to figure out how to make a post. But we all know there's a lot more to it than that. And that's what you're paying me for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what we all ideally work towards is a situation where we're on social media, we're seen on social media, and if somebody asks the question, who would you recommend, they will recommend you. And if we get to that point, then that's the job done. But you still got to keep going. You still got to make and then build your network and grow your network and keep people interested in what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, if I said to you, to both of you, if I wanted a web designing, who would you choose? Or would you recommend? Okay, I'm going to put a second question to you, slightly easier. If somebody wanted a bot building,
RJ Redden.
Yes.
See,
both.
now that's the point that you both said RJ Redden for bot building for the simple reason that the knowledge about RJ is current. And the only reason the knowledge about RJ is current because RJ guests on other people's shows, does her own show, co-hosts on shows, and is generally everywhere, which is a good thing. But that's the sort of situation that you, in your own,
she's kind of cool too.
Get to. Sorry,
she's kind of cool too. Just saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that illustrates the point that you've got to keep going. Back to the story that Jason told, where if you let the field just go to waste, then you don't reap a crop and you don't eat. The same is true in social media. If you don't keep your presence at a higher level, then you don't get the business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's and relationship again, right? You know.
Oh yeah.
Stephen taught me to be everywhere. Yeah.
Thank you, RJ.
Yeah, I'll leave that alone. I was gonna have fun with that. Stephen is Stephen's everywhere. He's a tramp. He's a social media tramp. That's what I tell people. They say, "Oh, you got to get around." I said, "Yeah."
Yeah, but to go with the song with a little help from my friends, that's what it's all about.
Yes.
Yes.
I think I went away to in March to a town just outside of here, probably maybe about an hour, 20 minutes from here, called Leamington, and it was a tourism conference, and I was fortunate. My local tourism people sent me down there, and one of the main themes, or the main theme, was collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Learn to collaborate. Now, collaborate with the right people. But this town was there was maybe I think it was about 24,000.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, we left Leamington and went to Amherstburg. It was about maybe 20,000 people. There were 2 butcher shops in this tiny little town, and they learned to collaborate. They were at opposite ends of town, but they collaborated with each other. They promoted each other. It was really interesting to see, and that collaboration, I think, is something. At least I see a lot of it here in our world here of live streaming and social media. Hashtag is a social media tramp stamp.
That's what I was laughing about. That's good, RJ. That's really good. I never thought about that, but yeah, totally.
A social media tramp stamp. That's hilarious. See, and that's why we like RJ. She has a fantastic sense of humor as well. And she collaborates.
I'm so still on that. That's good.
I think it's interesting to see what's happening between Facebook and Instagram right now. Of course, Facebook owns Instagram, but are either one of you active on Instagram? Like strong, or you just kind of? Well, I have an account.
And as far as I always treat, this is just me. This is how you perceive a social network. I've always treated Instagram as being my personal images. Okay, so it's photographs that I've taken on my travels, and it's for me and my family, and it's incidental that anybody else sees them. I don't use it on a commercial basis. So I'm not. When I saw the bright, shiny new object of Instagram TV, IGTV, and you could do videos an hour long, I just wasn't tempted, and that's because I use Instagram as personal. Yeah.
For me, I do a lot of for my day job. I do a lot of behind the scenes, so that fits for me real well.
Yeah, I have 2 Instagram accounts. So one is TVSN World, and the other one is just me. And I was using the TVSN. Well, I'll tell you what I was doing. I was sharing it to Instagram, and then I could turn it on so that it automatically shared to a Facebook page and a Twitter automatically.
Okay.
So it was a time saver for me. Now, because the example is the Sarnia Sting games.
Mm-hmm.
It's very quick. I'm taking a picture and I'm putting a logo in there and whatever, the score, whatever. And then it's kind of a one click and it shares to multiple social medias for me. And I've had the conversation with some different social media, like people that's all they do. And they were like, don't do that.
Right.
Don't share from one to multiple because people know you're not really there.
Yep.
And the other thing they mentioned was they're like, well, you're sharing the exact same thing everywhere. So it's kind of, and they're like, we understand, you're trying to more eyes, you want more eyes to see it. Right. But when you talk about engagement and you want the engagement from your people, you need to really engage with them. So instead of thinking of it like a post, and I went, that kind of makes sense to me. So now I was like, well, even though it's a Sting game though, I'm just sharing the scores or whatever. They're like, doesn't matter. Share it one place so they know they have to follow you there during the game, or at least have some guidance to, follow me over here or whatever. But I found I was like, I never really thought about it that way, right? The other thing that I found too was with my personal, as someone who's considered an influencer, right? Mm-hmm. They're happy to just see me. I don't mean me. I just mean they're happy to see what I'm doing.
Yes.
As Dave Burrows.
Yeah.
Not as the Video Show Network or the show. Just what's Dave doing? We know who you are, Dave. We know what you're doing, and that's why we're following you. So we don't need to see all of the commercial side of stuff. So,
yeah. I think that's spot on. That if you don't have to mix the personal and commercial, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Franco.
And in there lies the reason why you see Franco.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Jason Franco, the other profile, is all the warm and fuzzy family stuff, and I wanted just a place where it's like-minded. And I know you can post on Facebook and exclude some people and all this other stuff, but I was like, it was just too much flipping back and forth in my head. Yeah, and so it just made a whole lot more sense to this group of friends that I can be me and I can cut up and joke about whatever it is that has to do with tech and all this other stuff that I'm into. I can communicate with them just fine. Yeah. Different from, my daughter having to go to the ER room because she was dehydrated in the heat. And so that's friends and family, and they immediately connected me different, Yeah. So there it is.
Yeah. Well, that comes down to too for TVSN World or Dave Burrows. I'm struggling a bit there. I think I talked to you a bit about it, Stephen, last week about, when I'm doing the Video Show Network and it's me, they're like, hi, Dave. And I'm like,
I'm not Dave.
I'm not Dave.
Right.
It's the Video Show Network.
Right.
So, and as the Video Show Network has changed as well from, originally being about local in Sarnia here to now with the cross posting, it's like from all over the world, which is what I always really wanted, quite honestly. I've shifted gears a little bit, and it's now like, so when I was at Veg Fest, like I typically before cross posting, I would have put that live on the Video Show Network because that was about the community.
Yeah.
I've had more people say to me too, you're the show. That's what I know. You're the show with David Burrows. Just you're the show.
You're the brand.
And so now when I go live at Veg Fest or Rib Fest or whatever, I go live on the show.
Yeah.
When it's local and it's Sarnia, there's David Burrows and he's the guy that's everywhere, and that's where we recognize. So that's where it goes out live too now. So, and to come to this back to the Sting games, and I'm open to suggestions, but I'm not sure that me sharing the score of a game on Instagram or Facebook is really relevant to anybody, because if they're following along the game and they're not there, they can get the score.
So put your face on it is what I would do.
Yeah. But should that be the show or the video show network? And I think
your viewers already said you're the brand.
That's right. That's right. So that's where I think, coming up in the future, it'll be the show. Yeah. Yeah. Which
Kelly Ellis is I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I've gotten a bunch of people used to the video show network. So I'm kind of going to be changing things. So I'm going to mess with people for a little bit, but it can be done, right? I think it's the show live on location.
Yeah.
Not just the weekly show. It's the show live on location. That's Sarnia Sting, right? Or David Burrows. Yeah. So interesting. No, go ahead. What were you going to say, Franco?
I was going to say one of someone that I really enjoyed working with. She's over here in the States. She's an interior designer. Her name's Kelly Ellis. She has a very unique haircut, very unique lipstick. She's a fashion design. She's a interior designer for high end. She's on all the whatever networks for furnitures and all furniture and all this other stuff in the industry, right? What I'm getting to is that when she goes on, it's Kelly Ellis. It doesn't matter what show she's at, who she's with. Everyone just knows that's Kelly Ellis. And she's built that brand. She's created that identifier. She's worked on who she is, and how she looks and everything. And so that's that. It doesn't matter where she goes. It doesn't matter what show she's on. There's instant, branding, knowing who she is.
Yeah. See, I've thought of changing the show to just David Burrows Live, or I had Live with David for a while. I don't know. Or I'm trying to, because the show was originally created. Yeah. The show originally was created to promote my local community here.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's changed. I still promote my local community, but I also try to have an international guest on from other communities, right? I guess I have a fear of getting away from just local, but at the same time, I kind of want to grow beyond it too, right?
But you've already established that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be concerned about it. Not at all. I would say expand and test. And you already, you're the identifier. You're the common denominator on what you're producing out majority of the time. So I would definitely focus in on that and just start experimenting where you're going to touch people with what stories you're covering.
Yeah. I'll take that good advice. Oh, I feel so refreshed now that I've talked to you both. Well, no, it's I mean that sincerely. I know I'm jesting a bit, but I've learned to surround myself with people who are smarter than me, and I will look great. I appreciate other people's opinions, though, because I think we get that perception of ourselves sometimes, and it's hard. I find it difficult anyway I'm not trying to talk about myself. I'm trying to, but there's David Burrows here, right? And then there's the product, David Burrows. And it's hard to talk about it sometimes because you don't want to come across narcissistic, right? But it's a brand, right? So you have to.
It is. Yeah.
Franco?
But it's not really narciss. I can't say the word narcissistic.
Narcissistic
anymore. Narcissistic. Thank you. That way anymore because of the way social media is, the way especially the younger generation is. They are used to seeing themselves and seeing their friends on cameras, on phones. The older generation feels awkward because we're used to seeing the major high-end, talk shows and stuff. And we thought that was an elite group of people that were only allowed to really have a camera shoved in their face. Where that has changed, where now it's not foreign to go to a conference, VidCon or whatever, and see thousands of phones and cameras floating all over the place because that is their form of communication.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a stigma that the older generation has put on ourselves to feel like, okay, what right do I have? Or am I showing off? Am I boasting? Am I being narcissistic? I can't say it. that's a struggle that mentally we're struggling with that an older generation won't. I'm sorry, younger generation won't.
Yeah. Well, hence the selfie, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good point. Steven, we're near the end here. Look what happened again. I think we need to do a 2-hour show.
I just a word, an advance warning. There is a show being planned for November 23rd. Not by me, I hasten to add, but it's a charity show. And
yes.
Indeed, and our friend Fonz on November 23rd will be presenting a marathon charity show. He's done charity radio broadcasts in the past, but he's so taken by BeLive.tv that he is currently organising a 20. Well, not sure whether it's 12 or 24 hours, depends on what happens, I suppose. But if you are interested in being on the 24-hour show, if you search for Fonz on Facebook, there is only one Fonz. That's the real Fonz. And if you search for Fonz on Facebook, you find him. Have a chat with him. Say that David and I sent you, and you'd like to be on the show November 23rd. I'm sure he would appreciate all the help he can get.
Yeah, he reached out to me the other day, asked me if I'd be a part. I was like, sure, absolutely. That sounds like a lot of fun and for a good cause. And Fonz, we've certainly enjoyed having him in the BeLive community world, since he's discovered BeLive, and he's been on my show, your show. We've been on his show. It's just another great new part of our relationships here. So definitely check him out. Thanks for that. Franco. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Appreciate you both being here. And thanks to everybody who's been watching. We appreciate you. And if you really enjoyed this show, type 10. We want a 10 down in the comments below. None of this 5 stuff. We want the 10s, right? I'm trying to get Owen on here one day, right? So I can tell him we go for 10s, not 5s. Owen's awesome. Check out Owen Hemsmith, Owen Video. Thanks everybody for watching. That's it for this week. Except I will be live again later this afternoon at 3:30, where I will have 2 local guests and an international guest on the show live today at 3:30 Eastern. There's my plug. Thanks everybody. Bye for now.
Bye for now.